Are you ready to double your real estate sales and grow your business like never before? Then you're in the right place. Welcome to Real Estate Matters, hosted by Matt Curtis, leader of the #1 real estate team in Alabama for the last 6 years. With over 8,000 homes sold and more than 4,000 five-star reviews, Matt's proven strategies speak for themselves. Ready to double your sales with expert strategies? Let's dive in. This is Real Estate Matters. Let's get started.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Matters podcast. I'm your host, Clark Dunn, here with Matt Curtis and Matt Curtis Real Estate.
Excited. There's a lot of bad questions going around the real estate industry. And so we're going to kind of educate, the public and consumers and other agents, like what questions not to ask.
Yeah. So just to get us started, the first question, what's your real estate split?
That one that's probably the question that we get the most. And I know a lot of people probably listening to this, They may ultimately want to interview with us at some point. And so I'll kind of go ahead and give them a little bit of tip. So if that's the first question that you ask, you've got a lot to do to kind of recover in that interview, because it's the wrong question for them. And then it also shows us that, they're maybe not about the right things, And so it is important, like what is the real estate split? But the challenge is, like, a lot of agents out there, 70% of agents out there sell 0 homes. It don't matter what split they're on. They're 95% split, 99% split. They still made $0. And so to me, it's kind of a ridiculous question. So like if I went to go interview at, AdTran's a big company in town. They sell telecommunication equipment. If I went to go get a job at AdTran, I said, how much of this router or whatever they sell, what percentage am I going to get of that? That's a dumb question. Like, what people really want to know is how much money is going to go in my pocket. And if an agent were to ask, like, hey, what's possible here? How much money can I net? That's really the right question. It's not about percentages. It's about how much can you actually net. And so that, to me, like, first, you don't want that to be the first question. Like, if I'm interviewing with you and I'm like, hey, what's my salary? How much am I going to make here? You're probably like, I haven't even told you what you're going to do yet.
I don't even know your skill set or anything.
I don't know your core values. Like, I don't know the culture here. Like, if you're only after a paycheck, also that's going to come across to clients as like commission breath. It really rubs off on them as like, hey, I'm just interested in the money. That's not what we're interested in. Obviously, our agents make a lot of money. We want them to make a lot of money. We want them to be able to provide for the family and do amazing things. We also want to protect our reputation, provide 5-star service to our clients. And so, to me, that's why that's a really bad question. And just anybody that's interviewed, whether you interview with us or anybody else in any industry, that shouldn't be your first question.
Yeah, and I think it kind of leads into the second question that you probably hear a lot. Especially when they see maybe the advertisements that y'all do and kind of, how big is your team? How big is your brokerage? Like, that's probably a question that you hear all the time to maybe people that are coming in to interview for a position, but also probably just the general public.
Yeah, that's a general public question I get a lot. A lot of my friends like, oh, how many agents do y'all have now? Or, I'll meet somebody at a conference. How many agents do y'all have? And again, I think that's the wrong question, because there's a lot of brokerages in town that have, 100 agents, 200 agents. But how many homes did they actually sell? If you have 100 agents and you sold 100 homes, like, that's 1 home per agent. Everybody's starving. Like, nobody has any real experience in providing good service to their clients. Like, that brokerage is failing. But the answer would be 100. And then you ask us, and, we've got, like, as of the recording of this, we have 55 agents and 70 something team members total. You think, oh, well, that other company is more successful. But really, the right question is, like, how many homes did you sell? Is a better question. So we'll talk about that one next. But it's actually, if you're only going to sell 100 homes, it'd be better to have 3 agents. Those 3 agents are successful. They know what they're doing. They're profitable, all those different things. So that's one reason I really don't like that question. And I see, like, the industry, like brokerages have already gone to that. Like, they just hire anybody and everybody. It's not really an interview. It's like, hey, can you fog up the mirror? We're going to offer you a job, because ultimately they think you might stumble into a sale. Like, Your parents or your friend or your sister, or your brother, might buy or sell a home, and that's what they're after, which ruins the real estate industry, because they don't have good experience, they don't have good knowledge, and we're releasing all these unqualified agents out into the industry. So that's been a problem with brokerages for a really long time. It's really becoming a problem with real estate teams now. Real estate teams were supposed to be ultra productive agents, and now some of these teams, they might average 5 sales per agent, and that's not enough money to live on. That's not enough. That's not enough experience to provide great service in general. So that is, to me, like, the industry's headed down the wrong road with that question.
Yeah, and we've talked about it in previous episodes of just kind of how agents can kind of better suit themselves to like have the success and like grow and stuff like that. So if you missed any of those episodes, you should definitely check those out. We alluded to a little bit of the third question already, which is, how many homes did your team sell?
Yeah, and that's a good question. It's a bad question. So it's a lot better question than, hey, how many agents do you have? Those type of questions. So it actually provides a metric of like, hey, you provided service to the public. You help people. Where it becomes the wrong question is, so many people are chasing units. At the end of the day, we want to help a lot of people. That's a big part of it. You also go into business to make a profit. And if you're not making a profit and the industry is giving you a trophy for that, that's probably not a good thing, because there's a lot of real estate teams out there now that they would not even exist if that individual team owner wasn't actually selling homes. So like, they might sell 50 homes and the team sells 500 homes, but it's the 50 homes that the team leader does. Like, if you take that away, like, they lose money or they break even. The only way they can stay in existence is if the team leader produces as well. So what's the ramifications of that? Well, if a team leader's so busy, selling those homes and serving those clients, he can't service, or he or she can't service their teammates. Can't train them. They can't provide support. They're not running a good business. And so, the industry really props those people up. Oh, you're the number one team in, Birmingham or Tuscaloosa or, whatever city it might be, selling those number of homes. But if you're not making profit, you don't really have a real business.
Yeah. And I think, it is interesting because, like you said, if you take that leader away, it's one thing to, produce individually, but when you're really looking to grow and scale, you need to kind of have that, second, third, fourth string ready to go. And if you're just kind of all your energy spent doing the thing that's, selling homes individually, then as a whole, you're not really growing your agency or growing your team, and your whole team isn't reaping the benefits of that.
Yeah. And the dangerous part of that is the industry is saying, hey, look at this guy or look at this girl. Like, this is the standard. And everybody starts looking at them and not realizing, like, hey, they're leading the industry down the wrong path.
And so kind of our final question, kind of on the investor side, is, how many doors do you own?
I hear that all the time. So I'm a real estate investor. I got into real estate as an investor. It's just a terrible question, because, a door could be, $50,000 crack house. I own $150,000 crack houses, and I got, all this debt on it. Is that as valuable as, hey, I've got 20 homes that are really nice that are worth $300,000 a piece and they're paid off? It's a totally different things. And so what really matters, like in the investment side, I think it's two things. Number one is you should be investing for cash flow. Cash flow equals freedom. You call it wake up money. There's really no such thing as wake up money. But it basically, that money, that should be, your goal should be that money is greater than your monthly expenses. When that happens, you have kind of quote unquote financial freedom. Like, you can quit your job. You can go decide you want to be a missionary or do these other service things, or just like, hey, I still love my job and this is what I want to continue doing. But it gives you more flexibility. Or if you're sick or disabled or anything like that, you continue to have a paycheck that provides for your needs. And so many people in real estate, they help people get wealthy. Homeowners have 40 times net worth of renters, and they help people get into homes and build wealth. but oftentimes they let that money like kind of fall through the cracks and they don't build wealth themselves for it. And so I think every real estate agent that's producing at a high level, that should be their goal. Like take that money, get it out of dollar bills because we all know it's going to be deflated away with inflation, and turn it into real assets, that produce money and produce reoccurring money. And so that's the number one thing is cash flow. Get that cash flow greater than your monthly expenses. And then second is what's the actual value of it? How much is the value minus, any debt that you have? And so people will ask like the wrong questions, like they'll get all impressed by these gurus, on Instagram or YouTube that has, I got 100 doors, I got 50 doors, or I got 500 doors. Well, let's peel back the layers. Like, okay, you got 500 doors, but you actually have like 10 partners and you're the minority share and you actually don't have that much equity. And these are all like not very nice houses, all these different things. And so, again, it's kind of like the previous question. People then like look up to those people and they start following their advice, and that advice is leading them down the wrong road, which the right road is financial freedom. That's why you invest in real estate.
Yeah. And I think, the whole, it's like more volume is not always a better thing. It's like having 2 or 3 and starting off with just one. Like I feel like sometimes from the investor side, people maybe think that, hey, I can't do it unless I can already get X amount of homes. Like really, like start with 1, start with 2, like slowly build. Because like you said, at the end of the day, it's all that equation. It's making sure that you're not pouring so much into it, really no value out of it. So I mean, I it's interesting. I think these 4 questions are questions like people listening either in real estate hear a lot or ask, or maybe are asking people that are just interested in it, and just from the average consumer. I've thought these questions too, and so I think it's a really interesting conversation to have. We'll be sure to have everything kind of in the episode notes with information for anything that we talked about, links to Matt Curtis Real Estate. But I appreciate you being here.
Sounds great.
That's a wrap for this episode of Real Estate Matters, helping you double your sales and build a thriving business. But real success is about impact. That's why Matt's team has built over 140 homes for families in Central America, changing lives beyond real estate. Loved what you heard? Subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with a fellow agent. For more expert insights, visit mattcurtisrealestate.com or find us on social media at Matt Curtis Real Estate. See you next time on Real Estate Matters.